All right, do we have communications there in Las Vegas?
Yes, sir, we do.
Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir, we are.
Oh, hold on, we have an issue.
No, sir, we are not.
I'm sorry, I had issues, but we're good.
You ready, Lori? All right, call to order the State Board of Finance scheduled for today, April 16th, 2025. It looks like it's 10:03 a.m. And we'll start with the roll call. Ms. Hoover.
Good morning. Governor Lombardo,
Present.
Treasurer Conine,
Hello.
Controller Matthews,
I'm here.
Member Edwards,
Present.
Member Navarro.
Present.
Let the record show we have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, let's move to agenda item number 2, the first opportunity for public comment. Comments from the public are invited at this time pursuant to NRS 241.020 subsection 3D7. The board intends to limit the comments to 3 minutes. No restriction will be imposed based on viewpoint. Comments will only be received on matters relevant to the board's jurisdiction. The board may discuss, but is precluded from acting on items raised during the public comment. That are not on the agenda. So do we have anybody there in Las Vegas available for public comment?
No, sir.
Anybody here in Carson City wishing to speak? Seeing none. Anybody online or on the phone? Nope. Okay, we'll close the first opportunity for public comment. Move to agenda item number 3 for discussion and possible action on the Board of Finance minutes from the meeting held on February 19th, 2025. Do we have any questions or concerns? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Governor, this is Andy Matthews. I will move for approval of the minutes from the Board of Finance meeting held on February 19th, 2025.
And I can't recall because I'm on 300 different boards. Do I need a second on this one?
No, sir.
No. Okay, I'm looking. All right, we have a motion for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Was that everybody?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 4 for discussion and possible action. Discussion and possible action on the Nevada Housing Division's request to approve the administrator's findings of fact pertaining to the issuance of up to $20,400,000 of multi-unit housing revenue bonds known as the Pecos Apartments for the purpose of construction of a 105-unit affordable housing rental project in North Las Vegas, Nevada. There you are. Mr. Acroft, I had my head down. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning. Good morning, members of the board. For the record, Steve Acroft, Administrator of the Nevada Housing Division. With me today, of course, is our Chief Financial Officer, Christine Hess, and we come before you to seek the approval of the board for the finding of facts pertaining to the issuance of $20.4 million of NHD multi-unit housing revenue bonds for the Pecos Apartments. As mentioned, these bonds will be used to provide for the new construction of a 105-unit affordable apartment complex in North Las Vegas. The rental housing will serve 100 households at or below 60% of area median income, with 5 units serving 50% area median income households and below. The proposed development includes 55 3-bedroom units and 24 bedroom units and is supported through $9 million of Clark County Community Housing Funds and the Division GAP loan. Development group is led by NRP Development, not NPR, as is indicated on the, I think my computer does that automatically. It can't be me because I've done it now twice. NRP Development, and this item was previously approved at the Board of Finance in December of 2024, but because of the modifications to the Plan of Finance, we are seeking reapproval today. And I will turn it over to Christine to talk about the modifications.
Good morning, Governor, members of the board. Christine Hess for the record. As Administrator Acroft indicated, the issuance will not exceed $20,400,000, and that is unchanged from the December Board of Finance. However, the financing plan has been updated. So previously, the bonds were a public offering with KeyBank Capital Markets as the underwriter. Not unlike two projects we had last fall with the developers, the Michaels Organization, in partnership with the Southern Nevada Regional Housing Authorities, NRP has identified an opportunity for cost savings through a private placement of the bonds with Deutsche Bank, which will be more cost-effective and efficient. Unlike in many of our financing structures in which the bonds issued during construction are reduced upon conversion, in this case, there will be two series issued. Series A will be issued at the approximate size of the permanent loan, estimated at $10.51 million, and Series B will cover the rest of the construction costs, estimated at $9.89 million. The developers indicated that the benefits, in addition to being more efficient, are the reduction in financing costs of $900,000, additional permanent debt capacity of $500,000, and additional cash flow over the 15-year period of $300,000 through a 5-year interest-only period. These savings are essential to offset anticipated cost increases of construction. So this revised application, we did score, as you are well aware. Governor and board, we are now in a competitive bond process and scoring our applications, and this application scored an 87. It was not previously scored since it was approved in the 24 tranche. Thank you. With that, we'll take any questions.
All right, do we have any questions?
None in Las Vegas, Governor.
All right, hearing none here in Carson City, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Governor, I'd move, this is Treasurer Conant, move to approve the administrator's finding of facts pertaining to the issuance of up to $20,400,000 of multi-unit housing revenue bonds for the Pecos Apartments.
All right, we have a motion for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sounds like that was unanimous. Motion passes. Congratulations. Do we have representatives here?
Yes.
Yes, Governor, it's Mike Moriarty with the NRP Group. I'm here in the Las Vegas conference room. But I just want to say thank you again to Maggie, Steve, and to Christine and her team for all the help through this. And thank you to yourself, Governor, and to the board. Really appreciate this and the opportunity, and we look forward to building this community and many more great communities for the state of Nevada that were underserved for affordable housing.
Thank you, sir. Could you repeat your name, please?
Mike Moriarty.
All right, Mike, thank you. I appreciate you participating in our program.
Thank you, Governor.
Congratulations. All right, we will close number 4 and move to agenda item number 5 for discussion and possible action. Discussion and possible action on the Nevada Housing Division's request to approve the administrator's finding of fact pertaining to issuance of up to $50,500,000 of multi-unit housing revenue bonds known as Kylie View by Vintage Apartments for the purpose of construction of 300-unit family affordable housing rental projects in Sparks, Nevada. Mr. Acroft.
Thank you. Thank you again, Governor. Steve Acroft for the record. We come before you to seek the approval of the board for the findings of facts pertaining to the issuance of $50.5 million of NHD multi-unit housing revenue bonds for the Kylie View by Vintage Apartments. These bonds will be used to provide for the new construction of a 300-unit affordable family apartment complex in the Spanish Springs Valley of Sparks near the intersection of Wingfield Hills Road and Kylie Parkway. Rental housing, again, will serve 300 family households at or below 60% of area median income, including 8 units serving those at 50% AMI and below. The development team will consist of Vintage Housing and Green Street Development, and they are present here in Carson City. Together, they have created or preserved 15,000 units of market rate and affordable housing, with over 3,000 of those units within the Truckee Meadows. And to talk about the financial structure, I will turn it over to Christine.
Thank you, Administrator Acroft, Governor, members of the board. Again, Christine Hess for the record. So as Administrator Acroft indicated, this bond issuance will not exceed $50,500,000. I'd like to take this opportunity to share with the board a significant component of bond financing in order to trigger the 4% tax credits. So this is actually a 2024 application. It was submitted in December as a complete and acknowledged by the division as a complete application, although it was not quite ready to proceed to Board of Finance. This December submission did allow this project to maintain its DDA status, which is difficult to develop area status, which allows it to qualify for a 30% basis boost, which brings in more equity to the project and essentially allows this project to be financially feasible. So the difficult to develop area and qualified census tract maps come out in the fall, and sometimes the maps may mean that a parcel is no longer eligible for this 30% basis boost, which could kill the project by qualifying for less equity and thus being no longer financially feasible. So just wanted to share with you that the division does accept applications at the end of the year in order to maintain that status, although these applications do have to be considered complete. So because of the 30% basis boost, this project will generate approximately $37 million in federal tax credit equity coming to the project. The financing structure is pretty common for our vintage projects that this board has seen before, with a direct placement with Citibank for tax-exempt bonds not to exceed $50.5 million issued by the division. Citibank will also issue a taxable construction loan for $12.75 million. This is not issued by the division. Upon conversion to the permanent loan, the tax-exempt bonds will be reduced to approximately $39.85 million. There will be 8 units below 50% of area median income, and the division is recommending $3 million in state tax credits for this project. The Housing Division will also be providing a $4.3 million gap loan. The sponsor is definitely also coming to the table for the project, and I press them, of course, to come with as much as possible. They can attest to as much. But the sponsor financial commitment at this point includes a $1 million sponsor loan, and they're also deferring nearly 87% of their developer fee. The cost per unit is $327,000, which is below the average for the last 10 new construction projects, which the average is $393,000. Again, scoring this application, it scored an 86, so another strong project. Thank you.
All right, do we have any questions of vintage housing? Anybody there?
Not down here, Governor.
Okay. Do we have any questions here? Carson? All right, I have a question for the record, Governor Lombardo. Christine, let's talk about the DDA for a second. So it was submitted in December, and I assume the map changed. Who develops the maps?
That's released by the federal government.
It's, okay.
Oh, excuse me, Christine Hess for the record. Thank you, Governor.
So
for the
is that in
question.
conjunction with your department, or?
Christine Hess for the record. No, we don't have any participation in that.
Okay, what changed so I assumed it was taken off the DDA. Is that correct?
Christine Hess for the record, yes. And the project is here if we want to get into
Yeah,
any
could you
more
come forward, sir?
specifics.
Can they come forward?
Green Street, President, for the record, partners with Vintage Housing. Yes, so the question was, we went off the DDA. It's a federal, HUD designates the DDAs every year, and they change every year slightly based on demographics, cost of construction, income levels, and so we never know where it's going to go or when it's going to change, but this did change. And the rules allow us to apply the year that we were in the DDA, but we don't have to close until the following year on the financing, so that's what we're under.
Okay.
Make sense?
So that, one of those factors changed, obviously.
Yes, some of those factors changed, and HUD moved the DDA lines away where the site is no longer in it. Now, there are some other sites that were not in a DDA that are now in a DDA.
Right, I understand. So is geography a factor, do you know?
I think
it's
it
too
is.
mountainous or
Yes. It seems like it has a
Foundation
lot-
sandy or anything?
I think it has to do with topography, mountainous areas, cost of construction. So,
For the record, Eric Novak, Praxis Consulting Group. The DDA is just it's a formula. It's based on the HUD, small area FMRs, fair market rents, which they publish each year, and then a cost of living index. And it's a ratio, and we have no control over that because it's just, they plug in data and they spit these out each year. The same thing with qualified census tracts.
So it's
So it's different
It's simpler
from
than
like
what I was
opportunity
asking,
zones
right?
or, what's
So it's
that?
based off cost of living.
Yeah, so it's a ratio, and you can predict it if, the small area FMRs are relatively new, that they were only introduced in 2015. And before that, Clark County occasionally would be a DDA, and we'd have a big rush of projects that year. So in 2008, Clark County was a DDA, and bond projects were viable that year for 1 year, and then it wasn't anymore.
Oh, I see.
And then HUD came out with a new procedure called Small Area Difficult Development Areas in 2015, and that really opened up the BOD program in Nevada. So that's when we really started to see development really in higher income neighborhoods. So a lot of the Ovation projects and the Vintage projects are in small area DDAs, which were higher income neighborhoods, which was new for tax credit housing.
Well, thank you, Art. Appreciate that. So Dan, since you're already sitting there, do you have any other thing you want to add before we take a vote?
Absolutely. I've been doing affordable housing in Nevada for 30 years and seen a lot of different housing division people. Steve and Christine are the absolute best. They work with us to come up with solutions that would not normally work. The state tax credit program, obviously, but they drive by the sites. They actually look at the sites. They care about how the projects are done. I just want to comment them and you. It's working wonderfully for someone that does affordable housing and market rate. And these guys are great. They actually make deals happen.
No, I appreciate you being in the space, so thank you. All right, are there any other questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
This is Member Navarro for the record. I motion for approval of the administrator's findings of fact pertaining to the issuance of up to $50,500,000 of multi-unit housing revenue bonds for the Kylie by Vintage Apartments project.
All right, we have a motion for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. You don't have to stick around if you don't want. The treasurer tells a few jokes during the meeting, so.
They could come in anytime.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 6 for discussion and possible action. Discussion, possible action on the Nevada Housing Division's request to approve the administrator's findings of fact pertaining to the issuance of single-family mortgage revenue bonds in the amount not to exceed $200 million to be issued in one or more series. And who will be discussing this item? You, Mr. Acroft?
I'll open and we'll do the regular routine.
Okay.
Steve Acroft for the record. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, members of the board. We come before you to seek the approval of the board for the findings of facts pertaining to the issuance in an amount not to exceed $200 million for single-family mortgage revenue bonds. These bonds can be issued in multiple series to provide mortgage financing for single-family residential housing for qualified homebuyers. For over 30 years, the Nevada Housing Division has operated a mortgage assistance program for first-time homebuyers, and over this time, the division has issued and retired over $2 billion of single-family mortgage bonds. This particular approval is for both taxable and tax-exempt bonds and will allow our current homeownership programs to continue unimpeded over the course of the remainder of the calendar year. Last approval was in December of 2024 for $225 million. This will get us, we believe, to next December, when we'll probably be coming before you again, but I'll turn it over to Christine for additional commentary.
Thank you, Administrator, Governor, members of the board. Christine Hess for the record again. So I think I'll keep it brief, and then certainly if you have any questions, we're happy to take those. Our most recent pricing was just at the end of February, $125 million. It went really well. We ended up in this lucky space of pricing between some of the some of the challenges that the markets have been having that have made them really volatile. So we're happily just deploying our program right now and looking towards summer for our next issuance, most likely our next pricing. Our program's currently sizing around 450, 475 million. It's remained robust in spite of 5 rate changes last week. So that was pretty notable.
I missed that, Christine. What?
Just internally, we adjust our rates per the market, and last week we notably had 5 rate adjustments. So again, thankfully, that's not me making those decisions, but our single family manager, Dwight Pace, is on top of things and working with our partner lenders to continue to provide the mortgage assistance that's clearly needed. Our program is definitely not shrinking. We have been partnering, as the board is aware, with Nevada Rural Housing, and their program has gotten off. They've already done a few loans. They've been out educating the rurals because for them it was restarting a program, right? Which is always something that we try to avoid. Shutting something down and trying to restart it is much harder than being continuous. So they're restarting their program, which has been very successful. I'm just going to leave it at that, but currently our bond program is supporting our single family mortgages, and there is a need for the down payment assistance, and we're seeing those happen throughout the state.
All right. Do we have any questions?
Governor, this is Zach Conine.
Go ahead, sir.
Christine, first off, I think we were all deeply impressed by your subtlety on the volatile market conditions of last week. When so many would have said dumpster fire, you stayed away from it. But the single family bonds, right? We're doing that down payment assistance, as we've discussed before. There are market conditions which make them absolutely make sense, and then there's market conditions wherein they can't be used at all, right? And we've gone through both in the last 10 years. What do we do in a situation where the market conditions change after we've gone to market, after we've taken proceeds, but before we've expended that $200 million? I don't think that's going to happen, but would you refund them? Would we move it into another program? Talk a little bit, if you would, about the flexibility there.
Thank you, Treasurer, members of the board, Christine Hess for the record. And I thought I'd leave that colorful commentary on the markets to you, Treasurer. So thank you for that, providing that clarity. So when the Housing Division prices its single-family bonds, we're usually pricing and well into our deal, right? So the risk, I think, as I look at it, is mitigated by the fact that we have some assurances that we're into the next deal by usually 50%. So that's kind of our standard. So could that happen? There is some risk. I will tell you that you should all be thankful that it's not just Steve and I making decisions on this. We work with our financial advisors, and they are consultants that work nationwide with other housing finance agencies and have their thumb on the market, right? I mean, and our conversations lately have been, and we have, previous to having mortgages supported by our single family bond program, we used a program called TBA, which Administrator Acroth also has a great sense of humor. He called it the other day TBD, to be decided. It's currently in the interest rate market conditions that we've had the last few years, it's non-functional. But working with both financial advisors on how these programs could possibly look, one of the questions we asked is what happened in the recession? Right, in the 2008-2009 time was actually how the TBA program came about. And so, for example, should the bond program no longer be a viable option for Nevadans, but we know they still need assistance into getting into home ownership, we want to make sure that TBA is on the ready as well, right? So those are the things that we're listening for. And I think just keeping both of our teams active. We have actually weekly meetings and conversations with our advisors on the bond side, and monthly meetings right now with our TBA side, but that communication could open up at any time. So Treasurer, hopefully that was helpful for you as we navigate this uncertainty.
And I guess just one follow-up, Governor, if I could.
Sure.
Are you able to move these resources from the bond program into the TBA program? Would you need to come back to the Board of Finance to do so, or would you refund those and then get resources into the TBA program in some other way?
Christine Hess, for the record, those would be separate. We would not need Board of Finance approval for those. Administrator Acroft can correct me if I'm wrong, because the TBA program has not been really an active player since I've been on board.
Steve Acroft, for the record. Yes, Treasurer. Basically, the TBA market works on effectively hedging. So it doesn't require any funding like we have within the bond program. So I think to answer your question, if the bonds prove ineffective, we're asking for the authority to issue up to $200 million in this particular instance. So either we would not use that authority, we would extend that authority for a longer period of time. It would, again, depend on the decisions made between the division, our financial advisors, and looking at the market. So hopefully that helps.
It does. Thank you.
So Steve, you made a statement in the early part of your presentation that you don't anticipate we'll need to come back to the board for additional funds. Why do you say that?
Steve Acroft, for the record. Effectively, as Christine has indicated, that the bandwidth right now of the program is about 450 to 500 million annually. So we had 225 in December. That will be exhausted here shortly.
Yeah, then our next pricing.
Yeah, and then so we'll probably be pricing this issuance, if it's approved today, in about July, August, and that should carry us through. There is some seasonality there, and we adjust those timings not only for the demand, but also for the capacity. As Christine indicated, we want to have a number of this committed before we actually do a offering on the market.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Member Edwards, I'll move to approve the Nevada Housing Division's request to approve administrator's findings of facts pertaining to the issuance of single-family mortgage bonds in an amount not to exceed $200 million to be issued in one or more series.
All right, thank you. We have a motion for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, too. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, which is an informational only item regarding the State Treasurer's quarterly investment report for the quarter ending December 31st, 2024. Mr. Hale.
Good morning, Governor and members of the Board of Finance. For the record, my name is Stephen Hale, Deputy Treasurer Investments. Agenda item 7 is a report on investments as of December 31st, 2024. We are seeking the board's review and approval of the State Treasurer's quarterly investment report. Page 1 of the agenda item shows the general portfolio assets under management on December 31st, 2024 was $8.6 billion on a book value basis. Interest distributed for the general portfolio was $82 million. On page 2 of your agenda item, it shows the historical quarterly interest distribution from fiscal year 2022 to December 31st, 2024. The $82 million distributed is a $10 million decline year over year. Fundamentally, this was mostly due to the overall decline in rates in the front end of the yield curve, where most of the fund's assets are invested. Moving to page 4 of your packet, the top chart shows the general portfolio remains a well-diversified portfolio of high-quality assets with about 46% in U.S. or U.S. government-backed securities. The bottom chart shows the portfolio is a little bit more weighted to the 3-month and in area, which still presents good value relative to the rest of the yield curve. Page 5 shows our external managers slightly outperformed the benchmark in this quarter by about 2 basis points. Moving to LGIP on page 8 shows the average daily balance of LGIP decreased to $2.5 billion, while the earned income return for the quarter was 4.58%. This was 22 basis points better than the blended benchmark yield of 4.36%. That concludes my report. I would be happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions? All right, thank you. Appreciate that, Steve. And we'll move on to agenda item number 8 for discussion and possible action, on the treasurer's investment policies for the general portfolio and the local government investment pool dated July 2022. Mr. Hale.
Stephen Hale for the record. Agenda item 8, we are seeking approval of the investment policy statements for the general portfolio and the local government investment pool. There has been no update to either the general pool or LGIP investment policies.
All right, are there any questions of Mr. Hale? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Governor, this is Andy Matthews. I will move for approval of the treasurer's investment policies, the general portfolio, and the local government investment pool dated July 2022.
All right, we have a motion for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Steve. Good job on all that. All right, we will move to agenda item number 9, second opportunity for public comment. Do we have anybody there in Las Vegas wishing to speak?
We do not.
Do we have anybody here in Carson City? Anybody online? What is making that noise?
I believe Member Edwards is on a motorcycle.
Yeah, it's some landscapers. So
Oh, are you playing video games?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm wishing they would stop the weed whacking in the background.
It's okay. All right, we don't have anybody for a second opportunity of public comment. Subsequently, I will make a motion for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you. Thank you.